great. But you also lose your scores, all that stuff. Luka, MVP candidate. And it's not like you lose these guys for a few days or a few weeks. Both of these guys are projected to be out for like a month or so, maybe 3 weeks, but that's on the low side of things. 6 weeks is also in play. So effectively ending their seasons. We're at the end of the season anyway. We're at that point where anything is ending the season, but they're out until like second round, third round of the playoffs. And simply put, this roster without those two, it just, even with LeBron, I mean, if LeBron was 2018 LeBron, okay, maybe, but he's not able to do it. And frankly, if he even takes a couple games, I'd say that's huge in the first round of the playoffs. I'd say that's a huge accomplishment, given the ball handling on this team for one. This team is depleted. I don't know. And setting aside the fact that losing those two guys may affect the spirit, the morale. These guys may not believe anymore. And then they're going to go out there. I don't know what they look like. We'll see today. But in a first round, they may feel overmatched and just kind of throw in the towel. I don't know. Anything can happen, right? But regardless, though, I think that does multiple things. And then also with Denver winning yesterday, I think that does another thing. There's several ripple effects here. So, for example, the Lakers being so depleted now puts a target on their back. Anybody they match up with in the first round is going to be excited for that matchup. They might have been excited anyway, but they're going to especially be excited now. They're going to be the targeted one. They're going to say, oh, well, we'd love to play that team because we may be able to beat them in 4 games, get out of there, get healthy, or get some time depending on the rest of the playoffs and be done from there. Maybe another week of rest or something like that. They're going to look at it from that perspective, which is really unfortunate. That wouldn't be the case if Luka was out there. Probably wouldn't so much be the case if even Austin was still out there. But both of those guys go down in the same game. Just ridiculous, insane to lose your top 2 scorers back to back like that, your best player, all that stuff. So anyway, that's the thing. But aside from that, Denver also in a big game yesterday, huge marquee game, beat San Antonio, and that was huge for multiple reasons. For example, for starters, I keep saying for starters. I don't expect San Antonio to be able to take the number 1 seed. That was a thing for a little bit there. I don't think they can do that with that loss. I think they need that win. And as a result, they probably sit their guys in their last matchup with Denver because unless OKC implodes and OKC's got a match against the Lakers, they blew them out with Luka and Austin. I don't even know if I want to watch that game as a result. But unless OKC implodes, there's just no way. There's not enough games left. So San Antonio made it interesting. But losing that game to Denver, I think, knocks them down. I don't think they can go higher than 2, but I'd love to be proven wrong. As for Denver, they've now tied the Lakers in the win column, 1 back in the loss. Lakers have the tiebreaker. Lakers still have some tough games remaining, but there's a pretty decent shot that Denver wins out, as Trevor's been saying for forever now, despite them on paper having the 3rd hardest schedule remaining with a matchup against OKC and San Antonio. I mean, there's a very real shot that you get to those games if you're Denver and those guys are not even playing their guys. It's a very real shot. Because what's the point? If they're locked into 1 and 2, what's the point, right? But we'll see what happens with that. I mean, for example, if somehow, some way, the OKC Thunder come into that matchup with the Lakers and just are like, they're missing Luka and whatever. We'll just take our, sometimes teams play down to level of competition and the Lakers win or somebody else beats them. I don't know. They've got a matchup against San Antonio, the Clippers. Somebody beats them, then okay, maybe. But otherwise, Denver is not going to really face any competition. And so what could potentially wind up happening is they might wind up actually jumping into 3 and knocking the Lakers down. So we'll see what happens with that. In terms of the Lakers' remaining matchups, they've got a matchup against OKC and Phoenix. They've got a matchup today against Dallas, 1 against Utah, and against the Warriors, who should, I believe, have stepped back too. So, hey, I think that probably sets up, for the record, a first-round matchup against Houston for the Lakers, assuming that they go down to 4 and then you get to 4-5. So you're going to see LeBron versus Steph here in the week, or whatever this week, something like that. So you're going to have a first round of LeBron versus KD. They'd be lucky, frankly, they'd be lucky to win 1 or 2 games in that series. And if they do, I'd consider that a pretty big accomplishment. No consolation prizes, but the team is so pretty depleted. I can't. I'm so depleted. They don't even have ball handling. There's a very real shot this team's going to play Bronny James 25 minutes tonight from the rest of the season. I'm excited about Bronny minutes. I think he needs time to develop. But that should tell you everything. They don't. So, So that, hey, man, we're looking for something. There's more marquee matchups for LeBron, I guess, at the tail end of his career, you know. But I do think that there's a good shot that Houston remains in 5, especially with Minnesota dealing with injuries, sputtering here now at 500. But Minnesota and the rest of the pack above them have separated themselves from Phoenix. Phoenix is not able to jump up. Now, talking about the West here, Philly is in an interesting spot here at the play-in line. 6-4 here, got destroyed against Detroit, but I mean, Detroit clinched. I can't really be mad at that. But the East is kind of interesting. Because everybody from 5 to, do we want to say 5? Maybe the Hawks have separated themselves a little bit. There's a little bit of a cushion there. But certainly everybody from 6 to 10, I think, is still in play. There may be too big of a cushion between 6 and 10, but let's say 6 and 8. Philly, Toronto, and Charlotte, that is all very much up in the air. So something to note with that is that Charlotte actually, on paper, has the hardest remaining schedule left out of all of these teams. So Detroit, since they've clinched, I would say they probably sit their guys. There's not much point. Again, just like we mentioned earlier, Boston and New York are also the next 2 teams, I believe, in the standings. Yeah. Again, I think there's just some separation here for these teams. New York may play their guys. I don't know that Boston does, but New York probably does just because Cleveland is close enough. I'd have to see who has the tiebreaker in that situation. But Charlotte on paper does have a tough matchup. And then I don't think Minnesota, even though they have some cushion over 8, depending on how things go for Minnesota from here, because they have one more matchup against Houston, they may or may not play their guys as well. So we'll see what happens with that. But they on paper have a really tough matchup remaining for the Hornets, but they've been really good lately. 8-2, 3-game win streak. They've been extremely good as a team here. Philly, we'll talk about them a little bit more, but they're also deeply in the mix here despite that loss. And Toronto, you know, they're at 500. That's kind of created a situation where they're falling and putting themselves in this play-in range as well, where I think Atlanta, because of their hot record over the last couple of months here, has probably just separated themselves just enough, right? And Milwaukee, Giannis still trying to play. I get that, but like he just needs to sit down. they would love to probably dip below Chicago and win. They just need to sit down at this point. But there's huge. There's some opportunities, I think, to shuffle some of these teams in the play-in range. Like Miami doesn't have to stay in 10. There's some opportunities there, but there's a huge gap between 10 and 11, as there typically would be. So we'll go ahead and talk about PG and the Sixers here a little bit more now. But if you haven't already, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Sorry if I'm a little bit low. I changed my settings and all that stuff around. I didn't realize that I was kind of self over so much. But
this is the absolute best phone holder for your car. Your phone clips right into it, and it attaches to your rear view mirror. So if you have a rear view mirror, this is for you. You don't have to worry about trying to attach it to your bed or your cup holder or taking up space anymore. It's hands-free. It has a 360-degree swivel.
Make sure that you subscribe, and let's talk about PG. And this video is sponsored by PrizePicks. You can get started playing today through the link down below in the description. And when you get started by playing your first $5, you'll even get $50 back instantly. So make sure you get started once again and help support the channel down below in the description. We're going to pick a couple of players here really quickly. We have some fun Easter matchups today. Cooper Flag coming off a 50-point game. Lakers completely depleted. I would go more on that. I think he's going to definitely see 24.5 points. We also have points, rebound, assists for Tatum. I would expect that as well, more than 36.5. Last but not least, is there a LeBron play? I'd expect him to have big numbers. There is not a LeBron play today. But let's say that we choose Io 27.5 versus Charlotte. I'll go under. I think you can hit that, but I'll go under on that one. So we'll go left on that. Those are my picks for today. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Maybe match me, maybe don't. It's up to you, of course. But regardless, do help support the channel. We appreciate that so much by playing with the code HMA. And remember, always practice responsible gameplay. Okay, so the Sixers are currently in 7. Basically, one game, half a game back of Toronto. So very good shots. They jump up. In terms of strength of schedule, Toronto is at 12. And then for Philadelphia, they have a matchup against San Antonio. Oh, they have a Texas show. And Houston. Okay. So 17 there, Milwaukee and Indiana. So they've got two of the better teams in the West and two of the worst teams in the East. So I don't know how they go. But a couple of things that are interesting have happened here. So PG has been able to play very well since returning from his 25-game suspension. I believe it was 25. He had some comments on that.
It's a regular
20 game, a 23-point game, a 39, 19, 26-point game. And his three ball has been back. He has a couple games, where he's 4 to 6 threes made, assisting, all that stuff. So PG has been playing, like as the post here says, vintage PG. He's been very good, and this is a great sign for Philadelphia. And just looking at the overall statistics for him on the year, he's at 40% from three on 7 attempts per game, 44% from the field. These are career numbers for him, basically. He's a 44% from the field guy on the dot, and then 38 from threes. Like, this is career stuff for PG. The scoring and stuff's down a little bit, but, I mean, that's huge for him, I think, if he's able to produce that way. The key thing for him is that he's only played in 33 games here. But he is doing that stuff in 30 minutes played so far this season. But he's only played in 33 games. Obviously not been available because, I don't know, he missed 25 games due to suspension. But I think that's actually big for him. Like, if he's able to be healthy from here, that could be a big deal for the Sixers, having that extra weapon. Because they are in a situation where I think they really need it. And I think they're also hedging the health of this team. I think they've always been a pretty big dark horse in the Eastern Conference. I don't know if they have what it takes to win it all. It's going to be really tough to do that. But I do think that they are a team that deserves to be considered, right? I think that's mostly what I'll say. They're probably second round outcome, in my opinion. That's kind of like where they always get, right? Anyway, so PG said the 25-game suspension was a blessing in disguise as it allowed him to properly recover from lingering health problems. The time off has really unlocked me and allowed me to play freely and aggressively. I don't want it to be misunderstood. I was healthy, but I needed time for my body to heal and recover. I was healthy and playing, but the games were coming too fast. My body wasn't responding quickly enough. I wanted to keep playing, but I knew my body needed time. And so that's the underlying, the underlying thing to this is that giving him the extra couple of months, I mean, he didn't want it, but he needed it. It allowed for him to get healthy. And this is probably the healthiest he's been in a good stretch, especially given that, they kind of shut him down last season also. This is probably the healthiest he's been. And I think this is huge for him. So I wanted to talk about Embiid. So Embiid's also on the season been very good, but there's been some stuff with him where he's just been annoyed with Daryl Morey, the Sixers, for not letting him play for one reason or another. He was out Saturday night game for a right oblique injury management and illness. He has not played in both games or back-to-back all season. He was ruled out Wednesday due to an illness. He later posted, I guess they won't let me play basketball. I did see that. He was like, oh, I'm playing tonight. And then he was like, I guess they won't let me play, so I'm not playing. After the win over the Timberwolves, McGee expressed his displeasure with Morey, the 76ers president. I was pissed off. I wanted to play basketball. I wasn't allowed to play. So I think this is more of a question of Morey or whoever makes the decision. He said he has a short night's sleep before Wednesday's 153-131 win over the Wizards and wasn't at a morning film session, after which he was ruled out. He said, I found out online that I wasn't playing that night. That kind of caught me off guard. Oh, man. Whoa, he got all of that one. That's gone. Go home for all the rest of it. Keep up and get up to 300 back and bonus every day for 10 days. That's all good.
So let's see the early strategy in play.
When I started my record label, the business side of things, taxes, finances, definitely felt like adulting. But just because you start your own thing doesn't mean you have to figure it out on your own. It's been amazing to have a TurboTax expert to bounce ideas off of. Even if I'm in the studio alone at night, I have access to a TurboTax expert. I handle the music, they handle the tax questions.
File your taxes with confidence with TurboTax experts.
Yeah, I was drinking water, bro.
We handled it by keeping things basketball related. Nick Nurse responded.
Who the fuck was that?
He was actually yesterday. He was excellent in the game yesterday. was a really great teammate and focused on all that stuff yesterday. So we just try to keep it all basketball focused. And that's kind of how things are. The center has missed 13 games after straining his right oblique on February 26th against Miami. He's played 37 games this season, sidelined primarily by injury management on his knees, and averaging 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. So that's the big thing with Embiid, though, is that can you get him to the playoffs? I think that's the big thing here once again. This guy's so good. It's so unfortunate that he's just never healthy. He's so skilled and talented. He's just never healthy. And I know people hate him for the free throw stuff. You know, he averages 10 free throws per game on his career. Like, I get it. And he is very egregious with the blocking. I get it, right? But this guy is so good. It's unfortunate that one of the premier stars of the game is just always dealing with it. And looking at his track record, 37 games so far this season, 19 last year, 39 the year before that. The highest he's ever played in his career was 68 in 21-22. Like, he's not been able to be out there. And that's the story of this team. So very unfortunate. But I do think that if you can get him being healthy and in the playoffs, then he is a monster to deal with. And he is a matchup problem for anyone on the other side. And the big thing with this season, I thought that last year it wasn't the case. Like, last year I was not impressed with him at all. He very clearly was nothing like the year prior. He averaged 10 less points, for example, looking at a year. Humongous drop-off. But I thought last year he just was so rusty and out of it, looked terrible, moving terrible. I thought he started this season that way too, but he hit a stretch that he looked like his feet. And I was very, very happy about that. As just somebody that's a fan of business. And I mean, I didn't say that, but we're good. I think Embiid, he splashed that this season, so if he can bring that out again, I think that's a big deal. But for the Sixers, you know, they need him healthy. They've got their guards. PG's playing well. He's the final piece of the puzzle. So, speaking of which, there's some, Justin or Blue? It was the champagne. He was saying, the one said he was saying, oh, it's a blessing that they waived him. So just quick those out. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Once again, happy Easter. Have an awesome day. And we'll see you all next time.
Bet $10 get $365 in bonus bets.
How do we stop it? We need someone who can code and Cobalt. What's Cobalt?
Indeed can help you get it right the first time. Sponsor your job on Indeed and get matched with quality candidates. Visit Indeed.com/highernet.
I like this strategy. Find an ally, clean house together, center, right under the chair. Landing on that chair didn't work for the ball, but I'm guessing it definitely broke something.
It's like without making a move on X, we've seen guards get offers on OKC this season. JB, Ant, 3-4 the game, Brunson, Murray. He's the best scorer in the league, right? All I said was, as you saw, was that it's different for Luka playing versus OKC because he's dealing with that defense crossfit.
Now, I don't get what you mean by that, though. I was going to ask you today, like, I don't get what you mean by that.
What about it? Like, just,
I think Luka got to deal with defense, and SGA don't got to deal with nothing.
No. Because there's the common tweet that goes out that flies off the rack from SGA fans, which is, you know, they say, you know, everybody better than SGA than Tommy better than SGA. So I'm just like, well, I mean, I think the context here is that, like, SGA is never going to have to face that defense. I think when other guards play that team and they look terrible, like, if you're playing versus, like, an all-time great team with maybe the best approach to the perimeter talent of all time. I think that is the biggest issue for Luka. Luka just doesn't have the consistent ability with the roster he has to beat that team up. I think that's really the biggest thing. Even in the series against like years ago, like Luka was good, well, but he in Washington and Kyrie, like those bailout shots they were hitting also was helping Luka to be able to beat the team consistently. So I'm saying I don't think that the roster for the Lakers, especially defensively, girls, remember if Luka had somebody to follow instead of Jackson Hayes and Ayton and LeBron, then I think it would be different. They just don't have the ability to really guard SGA at all, and especially with those spots. And then on the other end,
that's fine, but I don't think people I don't think that actually matters when it comes down to is Luka better than Shea. Like, if you gonna say, well, Shea's teammate, Luka doesn't have to face. Shea doesn't have to face his own teammates. It's like, great, yeah. Shea also don't have one of the greatest, if not the greatest player on his team either, ever to play the game.
He's older than everybody.
He also don't have.
He's older than everybody in the yes, it does.
It doesn't
So he ain't the same player. Yes,
LeBron James on that team, Shea would look even more amazing. Shea would look even more amazing with LeBron James. Oh, y'all keep talking whatever y'all want to say about LeBron. Shea would look even more amazing with LeBron James on this team.
How much more amazing could Luka look? How much more amazing could Luka look? How much more amazing could LeBron? You know what the beginning of the season? Look how Luka looked with LeBron when they finally get a full season to play together. It looks so much more.
Who said that? Who said that? Who said that?
Who's saying that?
Well, I don't say that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Yeah, I'm going to I'm not saying he does look good with LeBron.
Okay, you think he's the best version of Luka?
He damn near every 44 37
points. He's just as good as he's been before. I don't think he's.
But he's in the average 37 still like come on now, Mo.
I think he's still a player, so he's doing the weak things. That's fine. I'm just saying playing with LeBron isn't making him better. I don't think it's making him better.
What is it doing?
He's still good.
So what is it doing?
I think he's still in the elite player.
Even if we come to the conclusion that it's helping, Chill, like you said, even if we come to that conclusion, regardless, I'm saying Shea would look better with LeBron too. I'm saying Shea would look better with a guy like Austin Reeves too.
So what are you doing right now? Like what you said doing right now?
And it would be easier for Shea.
How much easier is it being playing with Austin?
Chair. Looks like he's got with that chair. Lifted high into the electric chair position. This is going to be bad. Wait a minute. Suplex attempt. Able to go behind though. Taking out the knee. Picture perfect butterfly suplex. Oh my God, a clothesline. Incredible power slam. A back suplex. Well, the Vice turning up the intimidation factor. Oh my God, a steel chair. Cover. Is it enough? Shoulders up before two. Not even a 2 count. Just found a way to power out of that pin attempt.
The Brown Boy. The Brown Boy. He's the Brown Boy. The Brown Boy. He's the Brown Boy.
Leaning him against the turnbuckle right here. Attacking with full force. This looks agonizing. Out comes Alba Fire. Ready for this gauntlet match. Travis is opponent with the bullwhip.
No. You don't walk into a room, you arrive. There's a difference, and most men will never understand it. When Achilles steps through that door,
This has been a highly competitive contest here. These superstars not leaving anything on the table.
it's a good experience to call like it would be. Appreciate y'all that everything that's happening, everything that's coming out, all the movies that the two sites used to go into. She definitely won the battle that day. She definitely won the battle with Lucha in the world. You know, I say that is because two sites she's around 2 3 a day. 2 3 a day, bro. So that's just Spotify. So let's say Apple does a little bit more. Sites is probably bringing in 6 million total. 4 million Apple streams a day, 2 million Spotify streams a day. So that's a good, if y'all do the math right now, that's a lot of money. So that's before the shit went viral, right? So picture how much he's getting free now. SBO is looking for the hip-hop songs right now. It's the number one rap song right now. Number one Apple, going crazy on Spotify. Shooting up, going crazy. Y'all know? When somebody dies, when somebody goes to jail, they recognize this money. And they love it because the fans love it. People are fucked up in the business, bro. People feed off negativity. Feed off in the storyline. This is how it goes. You can play an up-and-coming rapper that don't depend on safety. It's going to be a thousand rights. And he can put those. Like undeniably talent. They still have a nigga rock his label bar, and that's just a billion. The attention of everybody goes that way because people love a hot storyline. And why I say Gucci Mane won the award is because Gucci Mane about to clean house. He's about to clean house, and what I mean by that, he's about to be real good. Everybody's putting in the two sites. Everywhere I went yesterday, everybody was listening to SBO. Everybody was listening to 72 guys. Everybody listening to, all these songs. Everybody trying to put together and shit like that. So, I think two sites, it's going to be going on. He's going to be together. He just sitting back, clean the house, and he's going to get off the this, and, Kushaki brought it on himself. And I know how it's going to be a label exec. And, people are, you have music final artists, and they're kind of real hot. What you sign is what you nobody forced to sign that. That's why we have a lawyer. All money's not good money. And that's believing. That's believing when you blow up. It's going to be hard to be negotiable. You think they're going to have to be, it's so hard to be negotiable because a lot of people don't work. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see guys who work now. Because I want my artists to be happy. I want my artists to be real happy to where they're going to continue to make music and see their best, how they best energy up and what to do. You don't want no any artists, but it's hard though. Especially with black executives, you got the whole team around, you got all these people that they're talking about how fucking over when
Interesting strategy.
This money should be yours. What's up? It's a lot. Especially when you're a black exec. They're watching everything you do. So, this happened to Gucci, got down on Gucci. Gucci about to clean out. Everybody's feeling Gucci face right now. Everybody's feeling like, he had to Gucci just so he could eat off his door. It's like nothing brought down your home. You put your home in your fucked up situation. That's just the name of the game. But yeah, Kushaki figured out personally now because people like bullshit. People love a good, people love a crash out. People love a crash out. That's why they love Youngboy. When Youngboy came to the game, he wasn't taking, he was standing on things, but people love that. Everybody goes to crash out. Look at all of us making videos about this, right? Thank you to all these rappers and all these famous celebrities making videos about the 290s, right? Make videos about the songs, artists, everybody makes songs, right? You don't do that right. Why we don't do that?
Pulled out of the corner.
Why we don't do that? Why we don't make videos and blogs and shit about those parties?
Swinging the
Why do we make shit about bullshit, nationality, two types of people, why we making videos about this and that? Talent that talk so-called care about it. Everybody swear they love talent, but nobody cares about it. Why we talking talent on the blogs? I don't find it. Why you got the whole time? Because the world loves bullshit. They all lie like they don't like bullshit. Everybody gravitates to the headline story. I hate a motherfucker that I hate a talented motherfucker. Because y'all keep telling y'all don't act on it. Y'all don't even act on it. Y'all, when the last time a popular rapper came with a co-sign this rapper talented nigga and you try to find him and try to help him? Everything is bullshit. Everybody devastation from Goldberg. Everybody. But hey man, it's a good team. Alright, it's a good man. I love y'all. I appreciate all the love. I'm just here rapping, man. I'm just here debating, bro. Like this right here is like my journal. I get to come here.